Yo, what's good, YouTube, man? It's Gary with another Fan TV back at another video. Like the content of this video, go smash that like button. Like the content of this channel, go subscribe, man. Look, so Ravens, Giants. Ravens dominated the Giants. They win 35-14 in a game that you could pretty much say was wrapped up at halftime. Lamar Jackson, 5 touchdown passes. Another Jackson 5 for him. So just a really solid day. The starters get to sit out pretty much the entire fourth quarter. The Ravens scored the last touchdown around, like, I think it was 10 minutes, 50 seconds left in the fourth quarter. So pretty much the entire fourth quarter, the Ravens aren't on the field as far as their starters go. So they did what they needed to do. The Ravens got 3 games in 10 days. They needed to take care of business versus the Giants, and they did just that, right? So very, very happy with that part of it, all right? So start off with the stand-up performance, right? So for me, I think 2 guys really stood out, but I will talk about a third guy real quick. Mark Andrews, he officially becomes the Ravens' all-time leader in touchdowns, right? So that was touchdown number 48 for Mark Andrews in his career. He's now number 1. He was tied with Jamal Lewis going into the bye week. He's now past Jamal Lewis all time. So shout out to Mark Andrews for that. That's big time, okay? Only had 2 catches today, 24 yards and a touchdown, but significant touchdown, all right? But, all right, so for the first guy I want to talk about, second one is going to be obvious. It's Lamar Jackson, right? He was incredible today, but we'll get to that. First guy I want to talk about is Rashad Bateman, right? Rashad Bateman today, 3 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was the first multi-touchdown game of Rashad Bateman's career. He's really the Ravens' deep threat, right? It's a role that he wasn't very comfortable with last year, and he still has some struggle with it this year, right? We'll talk about that as well. But he played good. He got open. He ran great routes, and the catches he made today, straight hands. We know that he's when he's confident, some of the best hands on the team, if not the best hands on the team, right? We're talking about wide receiver wise, right? So very, very nice to see Rashad Bateman get going. When I feel like his production or his targets, or not saying production, his targets kind of go up and down in this offense. I wish even he was featured more, right? Because he had like 3 catches and may only been about 5 targets, right? I know he got missed on the drag, and then there was a deep ball down the field, right? So those are only other targets I can remember. Unless I'm missing one. So no, let's see Rashad get a little bit more targets, but at the end of the day, 3 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Beautiful game for Rashad Bateman, right? All right, number 1 guy you want to talk about is Lamar Jackson. All right, Lamar Jackson. The Ravens fumble on the first drive of the game. After that, Lamar is pretty much perfect, right? 21-25, 290 yards in the air. He adds another 65 yards on the ground, and also obviously 5 touchdown passes, right? He has a rating of 154.6. So just really missed out on a perfect passer rating, probably 1 incompletion. He probably has 1 more completion. He's 22 or 25. Maybe that's the 158, right? But that part doesn't really matter, right? It's about the fact that they came off to the bye week, focused, ready to go, and Lamar Jackson is putting on one of those kind of performances where he shows why people like myself say he's been the best player in the NFL this year, right? The Ravens offense can go up and down, whatever it may have you, but 9 times out of 10, it's for outside reasons that don't have anything to do with Lamar Jackson, right? He's been consistent. He's been on target all year, right? So that's what I love about it, right? He's on pace to have his first career 4,000 yard passing season. Maybe could add 1,000 yards rushing as well. If he averages about I think it's 85 yards a game on the ground, I don't think he'll do that. But so realistically, we're looking at 4,000 yards passing, 850, maybe 900 yards on the ground, and 40 plus touchdowns total for Lamar Jackson this year. That's an incredible season, and he probably won't win MVP for it because it'll probably be Josh Allen this year, right? But incredible player. The truth, I mean, he's the face of the franchise. He's been there for the last 5 years, but truly, truly incredible player, right? So can't do nothing but give enough credit to Lamar Jackson, right? He's been awesome, right? All right, so about the game as a whole, right? Just talk about good, bad, right? I felt offensively, right? The Ravens start off a little sluggish. First 2 drives, you get the Lamar Jackson fumble. Then you come back on the next drive. The Ravens get 4th and 1 at about, I believe it's about the 50-yard line, and they decide not to go for it. I'm shocked by that, right? It's 4th and 1 near the 50, almost in plus territory, right? And you're going against a Giants team that was 2-11 before you made them 2-12, and it's like, well, if you can't get one, if you don't trust your O line to get 1 yard versus the Giants, what are we doing, right? But it is what it is. I think maybe if it's a different game, different opponent, Harbaugh goes for it, right? I think there was this game. He said, okay, I probably trust the defense a little bit to play well. We won't go for it. All right. So it is what it is on that, right? Okay. Yeah, it was just a little weird to start off. I mean, only on the first drive, when we go back talking about the fumble again, that the fumble kind of happens because Zay Flowers doesn't block his man. It leaves Lamar just open to be stripped. Obviously, Lamar got to hold on to the ball. He knows that, whatever. But so just a weird start, but then they start to get going, right? The pass game gets going. The Ravens did a really good job of playing. I think under center, pistol, play action, getting Lamar Jackson on the edge, rolling out a little bit, just opening up the pocket so it doesn't always have to be straight drop back, right? Now Lamar probably did some of this on his own, but still, I think like the first touchdown to Bateman, that just seemed like a design rollout, right? I mean, just the way Lamar Jackson, he got the ball, hiked, and it's almost like he instantly rolled out. To me, that just seemed like that was the design of the play, right? And Bateman gets over down the field for that touchdown, right? So I like that, right? You don't have the greatest O line, especially on the interior, right? So sometimes moving the pocket is a very, very good solution, especially when you have Lamar Jackson at quarterback, right? So I did like that, right? I don't have too many complaints about the offense today. It's not really just about, they didn't get stopped, so what can you complain about? But I thought what they did made a lot of sense today, right? They tried to run the ball. They played action off of that, right? And they were able to hit explosives down the field, right? So it wasn't too much today that I thought was missing from the Ravens offense, right? Derrick Henry and the offensive line, that was probably a little slow to get developing, but second half, particularly like the first and second drive of the second half, Derrick Henry got going, right? It was nice to see, right? So I don't really have any complaints about that. So from offensive perspective, excuse me, they played a really good game today, right? So I mean, Derrick Henry ends up with 14 carries, 67 yards. So we only talking about 5 yards a carry for Derrick Henry in a game where the Ravens didn't even do much, right? Justice Hill, another good game as receiving option. Justin Hill has 5 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown, right? So I really can't find too much to complain about this game, right? I would say the only play that I thought should have been different, right? Is I believe it might have been second half, right? Lamar throws a ball deep down the field to Rashad Bateman, and Bateman, instead of going up and getting the football, he waits for it to drop, and really probably should have been intercepted by the safety, right? But Bateman has to go attack the football, right? That's a play when your quarterback is saying, "Hey, look, go get the ball for me," right? So that's really the only complaint right there. Shout out to Tez Walker, right? Tez Walker makes a play on special teams, and all of a sudden he's on the field catching touchdown passes, right? Maybe that's how you get in John Harbaugh's good graces, right? We know he loves to put rookies on special teams, so he makes a play on special teams. Next thing you know, he's in the game catching touchdown passes, right? First career catch, first career touchdown for Tez Walker, right? So shout out to him. All right, defense, right? On the defensive side of the ball, I felt like the defense was uneven, right? They played well. I won't say they was bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't feel like they were dominant today. Like they were good. I don't feel like they were dominant. They were kind of bailed out by the fact that they played against Tommy DeVito, who airmailed a slant on like the first drive of the game for them. And then he goes out of the game, I believe, with a concussion. I'm not sure. He goes out of the game with a concussion, and Tim Boyle comes to the game, who was a career backup, right? So and Tim Boyle has some success throwing the football, right? Not saying he had a whole bunch of things like that, but it was a little bit of an uneven performance for the Ravens, if I'm being honest, right? One thing I did notice that was interesting is that the Ravens are rotating linebackers next to Roquan Smith, and Trent Simpson is not one of those guys, right? You're getting a lot of Malik Harrison on early down, so first, second down when teams aren't heavier personnel, maybe running the football, you're getting Malik Harrison because he's that downhill thumper, and you're getting some Chris Board on third downs because he's better in space, right? Or they're just going straight dime, and Roquan is the guy out there, right? Maybe you got Kyle Hamilton drop it down a little bit or whatever, right? So that's interesting, right? I guess Trenton Simpson is struggling a little bit more than even I had noticed, right? So coming into this year, this was supposed to be the guy to take practice swing spot. I'm not down on Trenton Simpson. Maybe the Ravens just feel as though he's not 100% there yet, and that's fine, right? You want to have a team where you're playing the best players, right? Like that's why guys like Darius Washington is in the game catching interceptions because he was playing better. He wasn't blowing assignments like Marcus Williams, right? That's why Tre'Davious White was starting to get more snaps over Brandon Stevens, right? You know, Brandon Stevens still plays a lot, don't get me wrong, but Tre'Davious White was starting to sneak in there because he was playing well. So you want to play guys who are playing well. So if they feel like Trenton Simpson is not the guy right now, cool, they can come back to him. I have no issue with that, right? All right. So for the defense, I will say this, right? I was impressed with most of the secondary. The only person in the secondary I really had an issue with was two people. Was Desmond King, which was kind of unfair to him. He was out there on the island with Malik Neighbors a couple of times, and those were easy plays for Malik Neighbors, right? He just got here. He's not going to play that much, but that was kind of backup minutes. But Brandon Stevens is still not finding the football, right? I thought the pass interference he got on Malik Neighbors was a little rough on him, right? I think he got his hit around enough. I think they were both jostling for position. But there's countless other times where he's just not finding football. Even if he's turning his head, he has no idea where to look. So that's the issue, right? That's a liability out there, right? Even when you're going against a team like the Giants, who have second, third, fourth string quarterbacks in the game, they can still take advantage of that, right? That's not good, right? So if I had to complain about something from the defense, that'd be the side of it right there, right? You know, and that's kind of just going to be is what it is. He's not going to get it fixed this year, right? You know, we already had the bye week. We had time off. It's not going to happen, right? So either the Ravens are going to have to put him in different kind of positions as far as like, you know, maybe limiting his snap count, or you're just going to have to live with the results of it, right? Because Brandon Stevens is going to be there in coverage as to whether or not he's going to find the football. You know what I mean? He's going to be there, right? So as far as this game goes, this game for the Ravens, it never felt like it was in doubt. It never felt like, you know, a game like, say, like the Raiders early in the year where you felt as though like, oh, man, why are we in this close game with this team? It never felt like that, right? So I would say that's a good thing, right? But one thing the Ravens have to clean up is the penalties, okay? Today they had one drive. The Giants' first touchdown drive was pretty much all attributed because the Ravens got penalty after penalty after penalty. Ravens got at least two penalties that extended the drive after the Ravens already got stops on third down, right? So can't have that, right? If you want to be a team that's going to be serious about winning games, you can't have that, right? So for the Ravens, the penalties today were so the Ravens, man, this is crazy. Ravens had 12 penalties for 112 yards today. Okay, 12 for 112. That's not playoff football. That's not championship football, right? Yes, you're going against the Giants. Yes, you're going to beat the Giants anyway with 100 yards and penalties because you're the far superior team, right? But you can't get comfortable with that kind of result, right? Like I said, most of that is really one drive in the second quarter that got the Giants their first touchdown of the game, but still, it's too much. The Ravens are once again going to end this year as by far the most penalized team in the NFL, right? So we can blame referees that this is unfair, that's unfair, but at some point you got to realize that this is who you are. So how can you make changes to be more disciplined, right? And that goes for both sides of the ball, not just defense, even though defense had a large part of it, right? So to me, not good, not good. But last play I'll give credit to before I sign out of this video, right? Nate Wiggins, man, I thought Nate Wiggins was really solid today. Nate Wiggins, he got that aggression, that swagger, that energy of a top level corner. Maybe he's a guy that you'll have follow some more of these top receivers around. We'll see, right? So somebody mentioned that, I'm like, maybe that's a good idea, right? I don't know if the Ravens will fully commit to that, but he has the confidence to where he feels like he can do that, right? So Nate Wiggins had a good game. He's progressing really, really well. He probably should have caught a pick today. He had a couple of times where the ball came at him, he didn't catch it. But he's a rookie, whatever. We'll see where it goes from here. But I've been really impressed with Nate Wiggins this season, right? So those are my thoughts on the game. Obviously, give me your thoughts on the game. The Ravens win this game 35-14. Their first game of this 3-game stretch of 3 games in 10 days. The Pittsburgh Steelers are up next. That game, it's kind of for the division, right? You know what I mean? If you want to really call it spade to spade, it's kind of for the division, right? So it's a big deal. We'll see where the Ravens go from there, right? But that's my thoughts on this Giants game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, man. But it's Gabriel, which is another Fan TV. I'm out.